Welcome back, everybody. And as promised, I have one of my mentors, Brian Birdy. As you all know from the intro, Brian was the national NARPM president back in 2017, 2018,
18. 18.
2018. So, Brian, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I love my NARPM family.
All right. And talking about NARPM family, you give a ton back to NARPM. So for somebody who's given that much to NARPM, national president, local president, instructor, all that good stuff, how has this affected your business and more importantly, how has it affected you personally?
I NARPM changed everything for me. It really did. It's very surprising. A lot of people go, "How is that possible?" But I mean, I was struggling in a business that my dad started. He basically was just taking care of his friends' houses. That was pretty much all it was. Um, and with very little guidance, there was hardly any property management education that I could find. I was starving for education when I found NARPM. And I really found it in a desire to get better educated, to learn what I was doing. And when I found NARPM and realized there were designations, there was education classes, I dove in head first. And everywhere I went, I mean, I took classes all over the country. I went to a bunch of different events in different places because I just wanted to learn, because knew I didn't know everything. Um, and then I didn't necessarily take everything exactly the way someone shared it and came back and put it in the same way, but I learned from each place I went that I could come back and run my business a little bit smarter. And so I adapted it to my way of thinking. I always tell people I did not create very many things. I just adapted all things I learned by going to NARPM events, listening to NARPM instructor, taking the education. And I mean, through that, I built a business that kept growing, that knew how to grow. And then I learned how to actually make money. I mean, I grew this company for a long time and still didn't make any money. And it took through classes of people educating about making sure that we charge what we're worth, quit giving everything away for free, figuring out what people were willing to pay for and putting a price for it. So both growth, profitability, and then when I started serving, I just learned how to be a leader. I mean, I have a lot of leadership things in my background. I was in the military, I did certain things, but a business leader in this business and being able to understand and lead my team, and communicate with government officials and with owners and with vendors. I mean, all those things are skills you gotta learn how to do it right. And I think NARPM taught me a lot of this through all those pieces. So when I look back, I go, I give NARPM full credit. I have my NARPM stickers on the front door of my thing for every year since I've been a member, and the list is pretty big now. And I have it on my license plate. My license plate is 5 letters, NARPM, and uh, and I give NARPM full credit on the business individual that I am today. I doubt I ever would have been if I didn't find NARPM. And my business, there's no way it grew into what it did. Now it's not solely NARPM. It's like, oh, you join NARPM, you're guaranteed these things. But NARPM put me on the right direction, guided me, made connections where I could talk to people, learn from them. I mean, and then I had to do the hard work myself, but I think I would have been lost without NARPM.
What would you say to people that say, man, I really want to give back to NARPM, but I really don't have the time?
Well, this business, you'll never have time for anything. You won't have time to work out. You won't have time to grow. You won't have time to return phone calls if you don't make it. And I'll tell you right now, making the time to be part of your NARPM organization is extreme. I continue to try to find ways that I can give back. I'm still a national instructor. I still focus on giving back. I love being able to teach in this. And so you have to make the time. And if you really want to change your business, make the time to get your designations. The process of getting your designation will walk you through all the steps for you to look at your business and say, am I really running the best business that I can? When I took the CRMC checklist and sat down at my desk and went down it and realized I didn't know some of the items that were listed there. I mean, I didn't know what they were. I mean, and I'm about to try to go get my CRMC, and there's a part of the checklist that says I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I had to go right, and I'm like, okay, so, and then there were things that asked, do you have this? And I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have this. You realize, right? I mean, I remember coming back from my very first NARPM meeting, And my dad was like, "So what'd you learn?" I said, "Well, I learned if we keep doing business the way that we are, you and I are both going to jail." That's what I learned, you know? And so, I mean, that's the starting point. And then you continue to learn. I mean, so service, by serving in it, by going to the meetings, you're going to learn how to be a better property manager, a better business owner, a better leader. Well, it doesn't happen by yourself being busy on a calendar and not making the time. You have to make the time for it. And believe me, it's for yourself. I have NARPM friends all over this country that would not exist if it wasn't for my involvement. And the payoff is that happens. I mean, I just had a NARPM crowd fly out from Georgia to come, and they spent the weekend at my house, and we went to the Texas Georgia game, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. And those are things that, I mean, that helps build the business. I mean, that rejuvenates you. You talk about business while you're together. You have fun together. You go to the football game together. Unfortunately, Georgia won. I had to drive home with all these Georgia fans in the car, but you know,
I think one of the things that I realized when I served was that, like, if you're just a member of NARPM, you're already in the 10 percentile of all property managers in the country, you know? And if you're giving leadership, evidently, there's a statistic out there that says only about 10% of all members give back to an organization. And NARPM's no different. And what I felt was that I was hanging out with the 1% of property managers in the country, and you're the average of the five people you hang out with the most. And so, by my association with those folks, I became one of the, I feel like one of the top 5 percenters in the country in property management, just by serving and hanging out with high quality folks.
well, I mean, you think about it. I mean, I give credit all the way back to Marty Hutchinson from San Antonio. Marty is the one who came to me. And I'm telling you, the only reason he came to me was I went to the convention. There were so few people from San Antonio at that time that actually, I went to the convention in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I came back and he called and said, "Hey, I want to talk with you." And he was like, "We'd like you to get involved in leadership." And I'm like, "Me? I was brand new." Right. And I just joined and I went to my first convention, but he was like, that investment of my time by going to the convention told them that this was somebody they wanted to work with.
Yep.
And I think about it, from doing that, I got to work hand in hand with Steve Foster, Kevin Knight. And I'm like, they had, that's right here locally. Then I get involved nationwide and I'm working with Bart Sturzel and John Bradford, and
All OGs.
Andrew props, who are all like, and you're like, you learn from hanging around from them and watching them be leaders and the things they did and the things they're doing with their businesses. Those things you come back and find a way to make a difference in your business. If you want to grow it
Yep.
to make it its best, it takes time, it takes commitment.
When I was gonna do my first ever Ironman triathlon, it was like I didn't know how to even begin, kind of like with your CRMC list. And I didn't even know if I could complete it, let alone, let alone do well in it. And what I started doing is I started hanging out with people who've done 10, 15, 20 Ironman triathlons. And they just kind of paved the way for me. And my mindset shifted from can I complete it to how fast can I complete it? And so I think it's the same kind of concept. When you hang out with business owners, hang out with the folks that you want to be like, right? And so typically those people who are serving are typically people who are running an incredible business, high profit margin, most likely a high door count. And if that's where you want to get to, then those are easy people to hang with, and they become not only just affiliates, but they become friends, like you said.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm going to switch gears here. Lately, you have been speaking a lot about the importance of guarantees. By the way, I've told you this off the air, but I'll tell you on the air as well. You're one of my favorite people to listen to speaking at NARPM events. You're crazy wealth of knowledge, but you also do it. You're super funny, and you're just enjoyable. So not only do I get a good chuckle or two, I also always have like 5 pages of notes whenever you speak. And so I saw you twice recently over the last year speaking about guarantees. So why are you so passionate about guarantees? How do we create them and discuss some of your guarantees? Let's just talk guarantees for a little bit.
All right. So, when you look at, I mean, I'm in Texas. Most of us use the same property management agreement. It's the Texas. Association of Realtors form. Some people get away from that because they want to be different, but I like having that organization and that paperwork behind me to know that I'm doing everything correctly. It just makes so much sense. But then you're like, how are you going to be different than everybody else? When you all have the same property management agreement, then the only thing you really have different is price. And I don't want to be competing on price with people. So I always thought a long time ago, we have to be visibly different to everybody else. And I felt as I grew in this business and I watched things changing around me in property management, I realized that being different and being able to show the difference and the value of being different was more important than being better. You can tell somebody you're better. How you gonna quantify it? But I can tell you I'm different and I can show you, and that's very attractive. And as I started building my guarantees, I said people like guarantees. I mean, you think about it. What's the greatest guarantee about Amazon? Why is everybody so comfortable getting anything from Amazon? What's the guarantee, Pete?
What is it? Same day delivery.
And no, but what's the guarantee they give you?
Oh, the guarantee on Amazon. You get your money back or something like that. You
Yeah.
can try
You
for
don't
free or
like it, you
whatever.
send it back, you give it back. It made it so easy. You can go to Whole Foods and just turn it in. No questions asked. So you are never at risk. See, people buy, but they're always fearful of risk. Their fear is what stops them from doing things. So I thought guarantees is a great way to be different and a great way to get rid of fear. When a person has a fear and you can give them a guarantee that alleviates it. Amazon's big fear was no one wants to order all this crazy stuff and have it delivered to their house, be stuck with it, not know what to do with it. So they said, fine, you don't like it, you send it back. Free. No cost. Immediately. Then they made it even easier. So what can we do? How can we be different? We need to give a guarantee, right? Think about Zappos, right? They were like, or Zippos, what is it? What's the shoe company?
Zappos, yeah.
Zappos, right? Zappo, big giant. No one's going to buy shoes they can't try on. Now remember, today it's second. It's like we all think we don't even think twice about it today. But go back when they first started. How are
That
you
was a
going to
big deal.
create this online shoe business where no one gets to try the shoes on? But their guarantees were: you don't like the shoe, you send it back. You find it cheaper, you'll give you the difference. So guarantees affect how people buy things. Why are we any different? We're not. We offer guarantees right now in property management. And people who are listening to this and say, I don't have any guarantees, yes, you do. You guarantee things right now, you just don't take credit for it. The most simplest guarantee that we always had was if we're not collecting rent, we don't get paid a management fee. We always said it. It was never written anywhere. We said it. People believed it. They saw it. It was happening. But now we have a guarantee behind that. We guarantee. I think it's called the results guarantee. Until your
What?
house is rented, we don't make any money, right? It's a guarantee. And I'm telling you that people see that so dramatically different. So now we have 15 guarantees. They're all free to the owner, and they all do one of three things. They either make it easier to hire me, they guide the owner in the actions I want them to be guided in, or they make me money. And that's it. And people love guarantees, especially when they're free and you back them up. And most of my guarantees are the things we're always doing. I have a Spanish speaking guarantee. If you call my company and you want to speak in Spanish, no matter what question you have, department you need to talk to, you can speak Spanish. Now, what does that cost me today?
Oh, a lot
Nothing.
less than hiring someone in the US.
Yeah, where are all my remote team members located at?
Yeah, Mexico.
It's a primary. Now I have a lot of Spanish speaking owners and Spanish speaking tenants, and they like this. Now the end result is I made the guarantee because why? It was fun to have a guarantee. I wanted to say this was true. We're doing this, and it was free. It's never going to cost me any money to do it. What I didn't realize was it made an impact on the real estate agents in my market who were working with Spanish speaking investors who said, I need a property manager. And they're like, well, I'm going to send you to Birdy because they have a Spanish speaking guarantee. I didn't build it for that reason, but that was a result that came from that. Every single guarantee I have is guided to, like I said, that helps me grow because now other people want to send their investor my way.
And the guarantee, when it's created, it should be something that either A, you're already doing, or B, that you can do pretty easily, correct? Like it's like you don't want to bend over backwards to try to hit a guarantee. Is
Oh,
that
no, no. The first thing we did, we came up with 37 guarantees. We got crazy, man. We had a brainstorming session. Now we only have 15, but we came up with 37. Some of them were pretty crazy. We're like, well, we can't guarantee that. But it was like, why not open your brain up? So the first thing we started with was, what are we already pretty much guaranteeing? What do we tell everybody? Oh, yeah, this is what happens. But it's not really in writing. It's not contractually obligated, but we will live to it. We will own it. but we didn't call it a guarantee. So that was where you started. What are you already guaranteeing that you're not getting credit for? And then from there, we were like, where are the fear points? For example, we're like, I have to remember how they all work now. You think I'd have these on the top of my head, right? But it's
Well,
like, simple things like happiness guarantee. For any reason you're not happy, you can leave. Give me 30-day notice. So we just started signing 30-day contracts. Now remember, I'm a legacy company. I'm never going to sell my company, so I don't have to worry about this. If you're building a company you want to sell, maybe you don't want a 30-day management agreement with everybody on 30 days because you want the longevity. But for us, who wants to sign a contract? You want to go sign a contract, Pete, with anybody right now? If your cell phone company came and said, "I'll give you a great deal, but you got to sign a 2-year contract with me," you
yeah,
real happy about that?
no.
No. Our market, we have to pay attention to the people we're dealing with. Our market, I heard, says they don't like contracts. So I said, let's get away from the contract. Let's just do a 30-day and tell them you can leave whenever you want. I think I've had one owner ever use the happiness guarantee and leave.
I think the other thing too is like if somebody's unhappy, why would you want to keep them? Why do you want to stick around? Like, oh, you're unhappy, but you have another 8 months with us. Like that.
I used
That's
to
the
make them
point.
sign a contract and tell them they had to pay me to leave, right?
Right.
And now I'm like, no, contract ends in 30 days. There's no money for you to leave. And I've had less problems with owners this way because I can fire them in 30 days. They can fire me in 30 days. When we're on evil playing ground, and here, remember this. When they know they can leave on day one in 30 days, you have lowered the risk and the fear of them hiring you. It
Right.
is
So am I going to
easier
go
to
with
hire
Birdy
you.
that I could 30 days, I could punch out anytime and not pay a
That's it.
fee?
And you
Or can I
just
go with ABC management where they're going to lock me into a year contract? And if I'm not happy, I'm stuck.
So when they're comparing those two, I become more appealing. When they come in, and then now it's our job to keep them happy. The
Right.
happiness guarantee gives them the right to leave. All I got to do is keep them happy. Are owners mad at me sometimes? Sure. Do we make mistakes we have to make up for? I try not to, with very few lately, but they still happen. The trick is they hired me because they could leave early, and then they realized they don't really want to leave.
One guarantee that I heard you speak about, I don't know if you still have it, but I loved it, was you're going to answer somebody back in 24 hours.
Mhm.
But everybody thinks 24 hours means 24 hours. Like, so if it's 2 p.m. today, I got to answer you by 2 p.m. tomorrow. But your guarantee basically said it's 24 working hours.
It's
Talk a little bit
business
about that.
hours. So it's called a response guarantee, and it's written out. Every guarantee is in writing. They all get it and they sign it with their agreement. So this is not like
So it's not just on the website, it's
it's
actually a
not
page with it's an
it's a page.
addendum
They actually
or
physically sign it. Yeah. And so it says that we strive to be readily available to our landlords and quick to respond to owner communication. At any time an owner is not responded to by a member of PMI Birdie Properties team within 24 business hours, the landlord will receive a credit to their account equal to that month's management fee. Basically says, now think about this. How many times have you in your history out there talking to owners, they said, well, my current property manager never calls me back.
all the
Been
time.
trying to reach him for weeks,
Number
right?
one reason why people leave is lack of
That's
communication.
why I created this guarantee. I said, that's not us. That's not us. So let me give a guarantee. Now I needed to be reasonable. So I wrote it as 24 business hours, which if you think about it is really 3 days. And honestly, if I don't respond to you in 3 days, you should fire me. So when you build a guarantee, just build one you're willing to live with and you're willing to pay for. Now, I don't think I've had anyone ever. I had one person threaten to fire me for this, and of course I had to fire an employee because when I got into research, I had a leak I had to go fix.
Yep.
And but this is one of those ones. It's another way for them to feel more comfortable, get rid of the fear of who they're hiring, and then it's just us to perform, and it's easy. The goal is we look so appealing through the guarantees they want to work with us. Now it's our job to deliver on the guarantees. Well, all I got to do here is answer their phone calls and answer their emails. We're supposed to be doing that anyway.
Right. Right. So a couple of things that are great takeaways if you listen to this. Be better, not different. That is so powerful, right? Because
Other
it's
way around. Reverse it.
oh, sorry, be different, not better. Sorry about that. Yes, be different, not better. Which is if you're just going to be better, a lot of times that's the race to the bottom, right? You're just gonna lower you're gonna keep lowering your fee to the point where you're not profitable.
When
So
and Pete, think about it. How do you prove it? How do you prove you're better? It's hard to prove you're better. It's very easy to prove you're different.
interesting. Yep. And
Mhm.
then I still love the response guarantee. It was when you said it, it was such an aha moment to me because we had this 24-hour, 24-hour like response, and we were doing it like 24 hours, expecting my team to work 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night to respond to emails, whatever. This response 24 business hours gives you 3 days, and you're right. 99 point X% should be responded to within 3 days.
Mhm.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna spin it. I'm gonna take a left turn here. You said you took over your business from your father years ago, and now your children are involved in your business. So can you give our listeners any guidance on running a business with your family? Like some good, some bad, or anything in between? Or have you set up like what's going to happen, like legacy, like you're going to move on and your kids have moved up? Like what's going on over there at PMI Birdie Properties right now?
So my dad owned the business, ran the business for about 20 years before I came here. I came to work for him because he had grown it up because him and my uncle had teamed up and they were going to do it together. My uncle unfortunately got liver cancer, passed away, and then my dad ended up with basically too much work and didn't really want to hire people. I came to work for him just to kind of bring him to modern days. He was doing everything out of a 3 ring binder at that point. I needed to teach him what an Excel spreadsheet was, and we needed to figure out how to automate a little bit.
This is
Even
even
though we're
before the days of
this is
Appfolio, right?
1997, right? This is
Yeah.
97. I mean,
Yeah.
but family business. I think there's a lot of benefits. One of the big benefits is it's their name on the building with you, right? But you have to invest in your family, right? You got to make sure your family are well educated, they are well motivated, they understand what they're doing. You got to train them. You have to invest in them so that they will be. Because just because they're your family doesn't mean that and you got to find the right seat for them to be on to be successful too. Okay, just because they're your family doesn't mean they're you, and it doesn't mean they're going to do everything the same way as you. So, you have to deal with that. You have to deal with family relationships at the office. We don't really deal with that a lot here. I mean, everyone kind of knows where they're at, and there is some tricks here
Was
that
that always the case though, Brian? Or did you have to like, did you learn some of this? Like you put maybe Greg in a bad spot. It wasn't his spot that he really
I
needed to
think I
be in.
kind of
And
led them all, finding the people. I mean, so and imagine my family is my 3 kids, my niece, my brother, my daughter-in-law. I mean, figuring out where they could be successful, helping build a program around them to make them do it. I've done that with a number of them. My brother kicks butt in vacation rentals. I mean, it is his world. He is very good at it. Russell's running the association part. Everyone is Lorena kills it as business development, director of business development. Well, they've all did a lot of things before they got to that point. At one point in time, they were all, basically leasing agents, and responsible for a third of the city and stuff. So we had to learn how to grow this. But it's interesting. You got to treat everybody appropriately. People have been promoted in this job that aren't family, that hold positions equal to these guys that aren't family. But you deal with a lot of that. One, you got to deal with your own family and the family dynamics, which isn't always the easiest. I mean, it isn't, even us, right? Um, they got to figure out how to get along. Sometimes you don't always get along with your kids at every moment when you're working with them all day long, or your wife or anybody else, right?
to make
So
for
you
an
figure
interesting
out you
things
figure
to
out
make for
how.
an interesting family dinner, right? Or
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thanksgiving
Well,
dinner.
we'll get to that one in a minute. But then you also have the fact that you have other people in the business who aren't family, and they have to realize, and you have to make sure they're feeling like they belong. They have as much opportunity to succeed and improve and move up. Just because their name's not Birdie doesn't mean that they're treated any differently. We've struggled with that over times and tried to learn ways to be able to do that. Um, but it
Did you
does
start?
challenge things when you are at home how does about sitting down at the dinner table and not talk about business?
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Almost impossible. How about taking a family vacation?
Now everybody's bringing their laptops with them, I'm guessing, right?
Well, first off, you all can't go. How are
Right,
we all going
right.
to go?
That's
Right?
right.
We
Yep.
have a weekend we do and we don't leave the state of Texas. We usually just drive to it, but we do a weekend where we all go together. So I get all my kids and all my grandkids together. But usually they all take vacations at different times, and it's not a big family thing because we're all running the same business and
Right.
all of us can't be gone at the same time.
Did you start off your kids kind of, did they wear every hat in the organization just to kind of learn every aspect of it? Or did you just find them like
It's
Lorena, like she was, Was she a great
No,
BDM
even
right
she
from the
did
beginning?
different things. They all did different things. So if you look at, I mean, Greg went off. It's really interesting. So Greg went off to school. First off, I told him, you either go join the military and grow up, or you go to school and get educated. But you have nothing to offer me. So until you go do something and then come back, they all chose to go to school. I wish they'd all joined the military. It would have been cheaper for me. But they all go to school to get educated, right?
Yeah.
Greg went and got a degree in finance. He had come out of college with a real estate degree and a mortgage loan officer's degree, and he was going to go work for a mortgage officer for 18 months and then start his own mortgage brokerage as a side business for us. Of course, he graduates college in the summer of 2007.
Oh yeah, right before
So
the
it all
fallout.
blew up, and so
Yep.
he just said, "Well, I guess good thing I got a real estate license." But all of my, except for Jessica, everyone has worked in leasing, like Lorena started in maintenance. She ran maintenance for a while. She supported business development, and then she became the business development director. Greg and Russell were leasing agents. They were showing houses and signing leases, you know, and marketing homes. I mean, I've structured and restructured and moved things around, and as we grew, they have done many and most parts of it all, and it
I
kind of
think there's a
broken down
lot.
where their skill set is. I mean, Jessica got a degree in accounting, so clearly she's our accounting focus since she got here. So
I think there's a lot of value. My uncle owns a food distributor company. They're really big now. And my cousin's, my age, he's in his 50s now, and he's kind of running the place now. But he basically had every hat in that business, which I believe made him a better leader today because he knows even from the guy that has to stock the shelves to the truck. I don't think he actually drove the trucks, but he rode with them. So he knew what those jobs were. So he can kind of understand, that the pain for some of those job roles.
all everybody has a unique role that they are very skilled and good at, and everyone needs each other. That was kind of my focus, so that when I do completely step away, and the organization will be, they will run it all together, but they all need each other. They all, each one of them fill a piece of the pie, and collectively together, they can run all three of these pillars.
All right, which a lot of people say you've kind of stepped away already from the business. The business is kind of running without you, which is a great thing because you are now are a pickleball guy, and you recently just purchased a pickleball franchise. So tell me what you did to set yourself up so that you can spend a lot of time and effort in building your next career, next business. Like, how did you set PMI Birdy Properties
But
up so that you can kind of exit?
when you look at, I think a lot of it goes, I mean, I've always been trying to empower people, give them responsibility, learn how to delegate. I was the worst delegator when I first brought people into this business. I had to learn how to do that. I didn't think it would, I mean, I just had a hard time giving stuff up. That's something I learned over the last 20 years, and started finding ways to give them the ability to do it, have ways to check to make sure they do it, trust and verify, and guide them and let them celebrate and reward them along the way. And you can do so much more with everybody else around you than you can ever do by yourself. But I didn't know that at first. I had to grow into that. I would say when I took the role, when I started serving in NARPM, that was step one. It required me to be away from the office at different times, and I had to start structuring things to happen without me. When I took the role as vice president of residential for PMI and actually commuted to Utah for 4 years. That was a huge step that required me to structure a system where they could survive without me. I was on weekly meetings, I was still in planning sessions, I still was able to watch all my KPIs and see how things were going, but they started running that without me here. When I came back here, I didn't change a lot of that. I'm here. I'm a big cheerleader here, is where I'm at now, and we still have meetings. I have meetings, meeting with somebody almost every day of the week. But as I decided that I wanted to get into pickleball because I just saw a business opportunity here, and being early in this, I felt like it could be really great. I went and we had a giant family meeting. All the family came together, and I said, here's what we're thinking about doing, and here's what it might affect. And one of the questions was, well, if you grow this up and it's more fun and more profitable than property management, can some of us move over to that? That was so I was like, well, you never know, we'll see what happens. But we had really structured in a way where they are all running this with, and they come to me. I mean, I have, you know, procedural discussions and guidelines and decisions and software choices and vendor relationships and things on a regular, what we want to do. And sometimes I power them and say, this is your baby, this is your issue, you solve it, you pick the right vendor, you come and tell us why and prove it to us, and then you can run the whole thing. Giving people the power to lead is what helps them be a leader. If I solve all problems, but when they come to me now, I stop and go, okay, they need my help. Why is that? And we really dig into what is it. Usually it's the weirdity, the strange thing that never, and we all look at each other and go, how the heck did this happen? And this has never happened in 30 years. So I have the time to go out and do something different, but I'm still watching over. You can't leave your business alone and think it's just going to run fine. I'm still out. I go out in the field. I do at times I go out and check on a property. I can go meet with an owner. I can go see a tenant. I mean, I try to go and do all these things so I never forget what's happening in the business. But day to day, this thing runs without me,
Do you look at
which is great. So I get to go build pickleball locations. So I got my first one under lease. And everything's on track, and we should be opening in February. And I just met with my landlord of my second location, and we should be
nice.
signing a lease here pretty soon.
That is awesome. Do you have like
Mhm.
certain KPIs that you're looking at as the business owner versus when you were a little bit more in the weeds?
Well, I mean, currently, right now, my biggest KPI is how many homes we have in the market that's not rented.
Okay.
And that's just because of market conditions that we're at, and more. And that's kind of a negative number. I went in and I realized I kept asking for a negative number. So now, when I walk in and go, how many leases are we prepping to sign right now? And it's because that's a more positive number. So
Right.
every day when I walk down, I get we have 5 new leases going out. We have 7 new leases going out because I know that if those are going out, that other number is going to work its way down.
So in a year
But we have
ago,
I have weekly meetings. We run EOS and we have weekly meetings and we have our dashboard. We do it a little different than EOS. We've kind of adapted EOS to a Birdy way of doing it. We do our dashboard 1 week of the month. We do and then we do basically a KPI checklist by actual person, every single person or department, certain key things that we want to know from everyone, and they do a monthly reporting and we see how we're doing it, and then from that is what leads us to our IDS discussions, because once we see where we're at, we figure out what's stopping us from, why are these numbers changing. And sometimes we create new numbers and start reporting on those. And that keeps everybody in the company in a heartbeat as to what's actually happening. We know how we're doing on leasing and renewals and evictions, and we know exactly what our delinquency percentages are. And when you're watching on that regularly, things don't get out of hand.
and then you have people that are held accountable. So
Hmm.
they're the ones figuring out all the solutions to increase rent collections, decrease delinquency, increase the leasing. And it's not you that's solving those challenges. You're just asking the questions and you're there to be a helpful mind.
And more than that, we go through a planning process where they bring me the number they think they want to work on for the year. I mean, and I had someone that said her goal was to be at 100% of this thing. And I looked at her and I said, 100% is almost impossible for this. And she goes, I want to strive for 100 and see how close I can get. And I think at the year end, she's going to be at 85%.
Okay.
But what a dramatic growth. If we go back and look at last year's number, it was an ugly number. And now she's 85. And the only reason she was 85 was she set the goal. This was her number. She came up, she owned it, she worked her butt off. And here we are at the end of the year. She's going to make 85, maybe a little bit higher than that, but she's not going to make, I never thought she'd make 100. But
Right.
honest with you, if she'd have told me 85, I'd have told her that was impossible. And then
Interesting.
she did
So
it.
because she went for
So
a higher number, she
well,
got,
yeah. Well, and also I just empowered them. They came up with what and I had to agree with it, but they delivered where they thought they wanted to work all year on. And then throughout the year, they had smaller steps that aided them to get there. And now we're about to have our planning session for next year, and that same goal isn't going to be it. They've already mastered that. What new are they going to bring to me? And I guarantee you, they will come to me with something much more bold than I could come up with myself.
have you ever had anybody come up with a number that you thought was too low? Like
I
you can
challenge
definitely,
them. Sometimes I go, that's your job. Your number can't be your job. I come to work every day and I do this work and therefore I meet my number. I said, that's not a number. Where are you being challenged? How are
right.
you going to make it better? How are you going to strive to change and make life better? And it's either, right, providing better service, us being more efficient, making more money, being whatever it is. And they usually can figure out, they know where the pain point is they want to fix. I love it when they fix it and it makes their life better. Boy, they're eager to go get that.
Yeah, one of the things that I tell my team, because we meet, I meet with my team weekly, and we go through the L10s. We
Hmm.
use EOS. We use a modified version of EOS, right? Just like in property management, somebody tells you a great idea, you didn't implement it exactly the way they said it. You made it the Birdy way, and I made it the VPM way or the Empire way, whatever business I'm running. And but the biggest question I ask my team is, well, what can I do to make your job easier? Like that's really my job, is to make their jobs easier. What tools can I give you, and what can I do to make you hit your number and make your job easier?
And sometimes I just need to know they need that support. You'll be surprised what people can do for you when I have all these people all individually working on something throughout the quarter or throughout the year to make a difference. So much more than I ever could have come up with on my own.
I think giving ownership to people is the number one thing. I was just, matter of fact, I had a conversation earlier this afternoon with my business partner, and we were talking about, a couple of guys that we have in at VPM, and we're just talking about, man, they embody taking ownership. And that's kind of one of our big core values, right? Taking ownership. And when you have somebody that takes ownership, you need to really like keep those folks, because those are the superstars. Those are the people that are going to propel your business to greater heights.
Yep.
All right, Brian, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to hit you with the lightning round.
Uh-oh.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody. All right, we're back. We got Brian Birdy, mentor, speaker, past president, and pickleballer on the hot seat for the lightning round. All right, Brian, here you go. You ready?
Ready.
What property management software do you use?
I use Rentvine.
Redvine. What is your current organizational structure? Pod,
I am
departmental?
departmentally structured, and I have three pillars that come off of that. So I have residential, I have vacation rental, and I have association. And then the entire structure is departmentalized within each of those three pillars. They each run separate of each other, but all departmentalized.
Do you use virtual team members?
I do. I have 54 members who work for me, not counting anybody in the sales side of it. And 28 of those, which is more than 50%, are remote team members. I have remote team members in Mexico. I have now in Canada because one of my Mexico couples moved to Canada.
Interesting.
And I have one remote team member who actually is in Waco, Texas, because she worked here and had to move home and did not want to change her job. And I usually say she can't do that, but I challenged her to perform better than she ever has, and she's killing it, even though she's not in our office. So
Amazing. Do you have BDMs, salespeople?
we do. I have a director of business development, and she has remote team members that support her in that process.
What is one piece of advice you'd give someone just starting out in the property management business?
Really be smart about the people that you hire for both owners and staff. I've gone through, I made so many mistakes with hiring bad owners and doing business with people I never should have, and I kind of knew it in the first place. Um, and this philosophy of hire slowly and fire quickly was something it took me a long term to learn. But once I really focused on really hiring, not out of just immediate necessity, and then putting up with people because they were there, and it'd be so hard to train somebody else, and I'm going to make them better. I'm going to show them how to survive. You just really have to learn about the people you work with, both employees and owners, investors that you work with, both. That's you got to learn how to be good at hiring people.
If I want to expand on that just a second. If you're starting out and revenue is a challenge, would you still take on a bad owner for the revenue?
I tell people all the time, I said, hey, understand that you're doing it and that you shouldn't do it and fire them as soon as possible. But if you're hungry and you need it and you look at it and go, he's willing to pay me, I got to take it. Now remember, this was my screening when I first started. They called and said, do you do property management? I said, yes. And I said, do you have a home you need to rent? And they said, yes. I said, great, I'll send you a contract. That was it. That was my entire, they were breathing and they would sign my contract. I took their house. I took a house, it was a duplex once. I showed up to the duplex, the other half of the duplex was gone. It had burnt to the ground. And the inside wall had not, no one had done anything. So it was
Oh my
basically exposed to his property.
God.
I mean, I made a lot of bad mistakes at the beginning, but and I warn people, it is hard to say no when you're starting and you're hungry, but try to go focus because it will eat up and slow down your growth. It's hard to do. I know that.
Yep.
You still have to warn them. You still got to tell them.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Anything belongs on pizza. If you like it, eat it.
What's your favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh, I'd have to say Cane's Chicken right now. I love Cane's.
King's Chicken. All
Cane's
right.
Chicken Fingers is a good place.
What was your first job?
My very first job, my very, very, very first paying job, I delivered the Express News newspaper, which was the afternoon delivered newspaper in San Antonio when they had two of them. So I would get home from school on the bus and get on my bicycle to deliver them. But the true first real job, I went to work at Dairy Queen. Probably one of the reasons why everyone knows I love ice cream so much, because they hired me at 15 years old and they could hire me at 15. It's so funny here, Pete. I took my paper route money and I bought a moped, and my mom wouldn't let me drive down the main street, so I showed her I had a pathway through the neighborhoods to drive from my house to Dairy
The
Queen.
Dairy
At
Queen?
15, I rode my moped and went to work at 15 years old, working at Dairy Queen, and I loved working in that little ice cream shop.
I bet you did.
Hmm.
What is your ideal vacation?
My ideal vacation is one where I get to be around some friends, eat some ice cream, have a drink, and play some games. I don't really care where it's at.
Love it. What is something that most people don't know about you?
I have what they don't know about me. Well, I've run 22 marathons in my life, and most people probably don't know about that. I've never had a marathon shape. I never look like a runner, but I just get out there and just keep moving. Now, I had signed up to be a triathlete and am still working on it, but have not made even the half Ironman distance yet. It's getting harder as old as I am. I keep getting other
Gotcha.
things in front of me that's slowing me down. So,
Yeah, well, I think it went the other way with pickleball.
yeah. Hmm.
What book are you currently reading, or what's one that's impacted your business or life?
Um, um, what's the one I just, hold on a minute. I should know these things off the top of my head. So,
I
hey,
read so many books.
here's one I read. It's very different. You probably would never would come up to this is going to be the one that came out here, but I really enjoyed this one and I kind of learned a little bit from it. It's called The Rising by Larry Silverstein. It is about the real estate investor who ultimately he closed on the lease on the World Trade Center about 90 days before they went to the ground.
Wow.
And then the next 20 years of trying to survive that process and build out was a very interesting story because basically he signed a lease on that property and became the master leaser of all of that. It was going to be his dream. He was going to make all kinds of money and be right around. I mean, what a great place to be in charge of and managing all of that real estate. And within 90 days, neither of the buildings existed anymore.
Ouch.
Yep, it's
Uh,
called The Rising by Larry Silverstein.
The Rising. Which Disney character do you most associate with?
Mm, Goofy. I'm a little goofy. I like Goofy. Goofy always has a smile on his face. He doesn't take things too seriously. He knows how to have fun.
I love it. What is one challenge you're currently facing in your business?
Well, currently, probably the greatest challenge we're having right now is very clear: is that vacancy rates are up. The amount of time it takes, I think we're attacking it very smart, but it is still a challenge. This has been an interesting year. I dug into the statistics. You know, the lowest vacancy rate in America in the last 25 years was in the second quarter of 2022, and we have dramatically raised from that. Now we're at 6.9% nationwide. That was at 5.4%. That was the lowest that it had been in 25 years. The highest it was back in 2008 when it was 11.1%. And I realized I was in management then. I was renting houses then, but I remembered back then I told people it would take me 60, 90 days to rent your house. And they just accepted it. I grew my business around then. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to attack this. We got really spoiled the last 5 years that if you put a house in the market, you got it rented in no time flat.
You didn't have to
Well,
do
what
a full make ready. Just
Oh yeah, just put it
right.
up. They'd take it in its imperfect position just to get into it. And we're in a completely different world now, so we're just double checking and making sure. Everything is running the way it needs to minimize that number because we're at the greatest risk of losing an owner when it's vacant.
That's right.
So I don't
And
want vacancy to be long because that causes me the chances of losing business.
and you have to set realistic expectations now.
Absolutely. Big time. All the time. Continually.
What do you prefer, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dog guy. Brian, you're off the lightning round. If
Woo!
congratulations.
That was
If
fun.
somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to contact you?
Just send me an email. I check my email. It's Brian at Birdy.com, Brian at Birdy.com. Hey, one of the greatest things my dad, who was not very technically minded, in 1996, he bought Birdy.com as a website before websites were even what they are today.
And look at that. And he was still doing stuff on three
Five
binding.
letter, five letter URL that's right in
Can't,
the business name. Pretty cool, right? His
can't beat
first
that.
website was a digital business card. You went to the page did nothing. You clicked on nothing. All it was the information you would find on a business card. And it's funny what it's led to today and how important that is. But having a five letter significant URL is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure it helps with your Google ranking as well.
Oh, it does. It does. It's been around so long. It's a big powerhouse having the history behind it.
Absolutely. If you are listening to this and you're not a NARPM member, please give us a call at 800-782-3452 or go to NARPM, NARPM.org and sign up today and become a member and get all the learnings and training and go to the conferences and get plugged in and you will supercharge your business. And if you want to be cool like Brian and have a bunch of virtual team members, give us a call at vpmsolutions.com or email me directly. Like Brian, I don't have an executive assistant, reads through my email. It's Pete at vpmsolutions.com. Brian, thanks so much for being here. We'll see everybody.